There are right and wrong ways to lift, move, push, pull, and carry heavy objects. And in EMS, it's all about equipment and patience. In a perfect world, you would always lift the right way, but sometimes patient position, space, terrain, and other hazards make this difficult. To minimize risk in these situations, utilize all of the tools and techniques at your disposal to avoid injury and make your job easier. Your body is the ultimate tool that you have, and in order to make the best use of adjuncts like cots, backboards, and other equipment, you need to have the ability to use yourself to your full advantage. To use your body in the most efficient manner and reduce strain on your body and the risk of injury, there are three very simple and incredible tricks that you can use to increase your biomechanical efficiency and make your patient handling tools even more effective. These tricks are, number one, rooting the floor. Number two is the hip hinge. And number three is a neutral spine lifting posture. Rooting the floor. Sounds kind of funny, and it's hard to root your mind around, but this is a great trick when you're lifting any heavy object or when you're stepping up into the truck. When preparing to lift a spine board or stretcher from the ground, place your feet in a slightly wider than shoulder width kind of a distance and root your feet to the floor. Visualize gluing your entire bare foot to the floor or making a perfect footprint in some freshly poured concrete. Putting your body into this ready position will make any lift you do safer, and it increases your mechanical efficiency. Rooting stops you from lifting off the toes and helps you maintain a flat back posture during any lifting movement. This technique increases your balance and makes your gluteal muscles fire properly, relieving your back of additional strain. The hip hinge, step number two, places your spine and pelvis in the optimal position for transferring or lifting. This is really the correct way to perform a squat and a bend at the hips. A good bend is initiated at the hip and not the lower back or knees. You literally hinge yourself at your hips. Those who don't perform this movement tend to favor bending through their backs and are predisposed to developing low back pain and poor performance. Neutral spine lifting posture involves following two steps that place your torso and upper body in optimal lifting position. Head up and shoulders back. If your head is up, your back is always in a safe position. Never look down during a lift or a transfer. Keep your eyes up and straight ahead at all times. When performing a two-man lift with a stretcher or spine board, it always helps to look your partner directly in the eye. This keeps your head up, reminds you to maintain good body mechanics, and helps communication during the lift. Keeping your shoulders back when you perform any physical task. This is the best way to transfer the forces of an exterior load from your extremities into your core, such as when you lift a patient on a spine board. Simply keeping your shoulder blades in mid-back pulled slightly down and back accomplishes this task. Think no shrugs, keep your head up, and you are well on your way to staying injury-free. Let's talk about the anatomy of an injury. In public safety, most injuries, and often the most debilitating and expensive injuries, are categorized as overexertion.
An overexertion injury occurs when soft tissues, such as the muscles, tendons, and discs, are so profoundly fatigued from poor posture and repetitive patterns that they simply fail to perform seemingly normal tasks. We rarely get hurt moving the obese patient because we are totally prepared for the movement. We tend to get hurt doing seemingly normal tasks where you're not prepared and then sustain an injury doing something normal like putting the monitor on the cot. To fully understand how and why this happens and to break the cycle, you need a basic understanding of the two common postural distortions that allow these injuries to happen: upper cross syndrome and lower cross syndrome.
From an early age, we basically spend our lives in a very forward posture. I mean, think about it. When you go to kindergarten, you sit at a little tiny table at a little desk, and you live your life down here. Fast forward to today. You've gone to school, and you're on your computer. You're turning pages in a book, and you're driving. You're texting on your cell phone. And oh, by the way, you treat your patients down here. You take them to the hospital in this position. When you get done, you get right back into the ambulance in a forward posture. What happens is, because we're in that repetitive faulty posture all day long for our entire life, this very predictable cascade effect occurs. The muscles in the front of the body become short and tight. The deep neck flexors, the muscles in your pecs, and primarily the muscles of the internal rotators of the shoulders, they take the entire shoulder girdle. Shoulders drop forward, head pulls forward. We feel the symptoms posteriorly. You feel the pain in your upper back, your neck, your shoulders. But the problem is because of what's happened in the front. The best way I can give you an example of what that looks like and what it does is this. If I stand in normal neutral posture and I go into external rotation, which is a very important movement for the shoulders, this is about as normal as it gets. If I put myself into an upper crossed pattern, it shuts my normal joint movement down. So no matter how strong I am or how physically active I am, I can't get my arms into a normal, safe biomechanical position. So when I go to do something normal, like everyday task in your job, pick up that monitor, and you go to place it up onto the stretcher, you sustain a shoulder or rotator cuff injury. It's not the monitor that caused that injury. It was the fact that your shoulder joint has lost its ability to move normally due to that upper crossed syndrome. So we feel that pain posteriorly due to that frontal issue. Neck pain, headaches, popping, clicking in the jaw, rotator cuff injuries. Muscle sprains and strains in the upper and middle back are all a result of this long-term faulty flexed posture that ultimately change how the body moves, leading to those very high injury rates that we see so common in EMS. One of the primary causes of lower back injury and knee injuries in public safety is not always the fact that our back is weak. It's the fact that our spines have become overloaded. And our spines have become overloaded due to this very predictable cascade effect that's referred to as a lower crossed syndrome. Here's what happens. We sit for long periods of time, and we're very compressed at the hip joint. The hip flexors are compressed, and a very important spine stabilizer and trunk flexor called the psoas becomes very compressed and tight. When they become compressed and tight, what they do is they take the center of gravity in the pelvis, which should be in a nice neutral spine, a safe lifting posture, and they pull everything forward. So the center of gravity shifts forward. The pelvis rotates out of position. When that happens, it inhibits the abdominal wall. Well, we all know strong abs, strong back. But what happens is, as the pelvis is pulled forward, we're not in neutral spine anymore. Abs are inhibited, not doing their job. The spine naturally becomes overloaded, and we sustain injuries doing things that should have never hurt us. So as that's going on, the body kind of wakes up, and it realizes that it's way out of position. These aren't doing their job. Way too much strain in the lower back, so it fires the hamstrings. They get tight to try to pull you back into place. So there's this tug of war going on between the front and back of the body, and ultimately the spine is caught in the middle. So as this tug of war is going on, and we're feeling more discomfort in our backs and our knees, the most important muscle group in the body, which is your hips and your gluteal muscles, become very inhibited and very weak. They sort of get confused. And when your glutes get confused or inhibited, a couple of things happen. Number one, that's where most of your power generation for lifting, pulling, pushing, or transferring a patient come from. That's where a lot of your balance comes from. But your gluteal muscles have a secondary job, which is as a hip extensor and as a hip external rotator, to rotate the femur. When they don't do their job properly, normal things like going into a squat to safely pick up a patient, when you go to come up, glute doesn't fire, knees turn in, and you end up lifting with your back. Therefore, we start sustaining injuries, even if we thought we were lifting properly, doing things that should have never, ever hurt us. And it's all this cascade effect called lower cross syndrome causing these types of injuries. While standing down for that carriage engagements, we were able to get it done safely and efficiently.
Let's take another lesson from the world of athletics. Let me introduce to you what I term a warrior stance, or some people call it a split stance. This stance can be used in a lot of different situations. Difficult lifts, when we have to pull something toward us, or as we can see here, a common scenario where we have to pick up gear off the ground. A lot of times we're just going to pick it up using only my back. There was no hip involvement there, so the load was on my spine. With that warrior stance, I'm going to go into that split stance. Drop down using those strong muscles in my hips. Grab the gear, head comes up, and I'm able to lift using the muscles in my hips, not putting load on my spine. Another way to think about a warrior stance is in a difficult lift situation where maybe we have to get on a knee, pull something toward us. In this case, we see people very rounded out. Hips are closed, can't generate much power here. Where all I have to do is just bring the leg forward, widen that stance, become athletic, where I can grab that object, maybe that patient, and pull it toward me using my hips as a driver, not putting load on the spine. So back to our gear, I can pick the gear up safely, driving from my hips and not my back. As you'll see in upcoming segments of the injury-free program, we will use the warrior stance frequently for difficult and dangerous lift situations.
While standing down for that carriage engagements, we were able to get it done safely and efficiently.
Let's look at the world of athletics. Put the picture in your head of an athlete, maybe a linebacker or an athletic stance where our weight is distributed. We have balance, we have agility, we can generate power. And let's apply that to what you do every day in the street. Right now, common situation here, we may simply bend down, pick up our gear, and I've used nothing but my back. And I'll put it down using only my back, where all we have to do to fix this common error is just go with a wider base of support, use my hips, bring my head up. And now I'm able to lift with the strong muscles in my hips. It naturally turns my abdominal wall on, which supports my back. As you look at the upcoming segments in our injury-free program, you'll see that this linebacker or athletic stance will be applied to transferring a patient from bed to bed, possibly getting a patient up off the floor, picking up gear, or in previous segments of injury-free, you've seen we apply this technique to lifting the spine board and raising and lowering a manual stretcher. All done to reduce your chance of getting hurt on the job. Your daily life as an EMT is full of uncertainty. You never know when your next call is coming in, and often you never know when you'll have a chance for a meal. This leaves you hungry, and then you rush to grab a bite to eat. In these situations, your meal choices are more likely to include processed, fast, and convenient foods that are high in calories and fat. Shift after shift of eating in this hunger binge mode leaves you feeling sluggish, tired, and over time is directly correlated to weight and health issues faced by many responders. Portion control, leftovers, and pre-planned meals are your best friend for healthy eating on and off duty. This helps you not to skip meals or rely on fast foods. There are 5 keys to being healthy on duty that will help you lose weight and improve your overall wellness. The 5 keys are simple. First, eat half of what you are served. Take the rest to go, or save it for tomorrow or a later meal. Second, only eat off of a salad or appetizer plate at home. This is an easy way to control portion size and cut down on overeating. Third, eat foods that will boost your metabolism, not slow it down. This is where eating whole foods and small portions fit into a healthy lifestyle. Fourth, eat a small meal every 3 hours to further boost and maintain your metabolism. Bring food and healthy snacks with you to work to avoid blood sugar crashes and binge eating between calls. And finally, fifth, combine food groups to help boost their absorption. Always eat a carbohydrate with a protein and vice versa. Never eat just a carb or just a protein because your body has difficulty processing them alone. Healthy eating on duty includes a few simple do's and don'ts in the food choices you make. Good food choices include foods that have high concentrations of antioxidants, which are stress-fighting nutrients that are a must for anyone in public safety. Greens, leafy vegetables, and fruits are rich in antioxidants, and you should sneak them into your meals whenever you can. The darker the fruits and vegetables are, or those with vibrant color and texture, the better they are for you. Fiber-rich foods like beans, green leafy vegetables, oatmeal, and whole and unprocessed foods are naturally high in fiber and promote good health without the processed, sugary food side effects. A good rule is to limit boxed, packaged, and prepared foods, which are full of unhealthy ingredients and often loaded with unneeded calories. Bad food choices contain the 5 white evils of food. The 5 white evils are essentially sugars that do nothing more than slow down your metabolism and make you fat. Sugars are also poor in nutrients, so they provide little health and wellness benefit. The 5 white evils of food also include mayonnaise and cream sauces. Mustard and tomato sauce are great substitutions when you're looking to add some extra flavor. Water is the forgotten nutrient, but it is essential to wellness, concentration, physical ability, and injury prevention. Without proper hydration, nothing works right. Water is essential for tissue, which will not move or stretch properly when dehydrated. Water is essential to the spinal discs, which are comprised mostly of water and do not absorb a load when dehydrated. Water is essential for your brain, which does not work well when dehydrated, leading to fatigue and difficulty with concentration, which can lead to a lapse in judgment and accidents. Water also helps you to process food better and enhances nutrient absorption for healthier living. The bottom line is that when you are following a healthy diet, your body has the tools it needs to heal from stress. It functions better and you feel and perform better. Face it, public safety is a difficult and stressful job. You owe it to yourself and the public you serve to keep your body in an optimal state of wellness, and nutrition is one of the main keys. Make better food choices, eat smaller portions, stay hydrated, and you will look and feel better.